Gwyneth Paltrow kills people. Okay, that's probably not true, but she did found an awful company that supports misinformation and pseudoscience that does kill people. Let me explain. Gwyneth Paltrow, or Goop Girl as she's professionally known, was found encased in amethyst and avocado in 1972. She was then immediately delivered to the ideal parents for any alien child found deep within the earth, a Hollywood actress and a movie producer. She started acting at the age of 17 and found success with roles both big and small. In fact, she even won the Academy Award for Best Actress in 1999 for Shakespeare in Love, which won Best Picture for the year.
I would like to thank Harvey Weinstein, Stanner,
Not high profile enough yet? Alright then, she was also Pepper Potts in Iron Man, then again in Iron Man 2, and Iron Man 3, and Avengers, and Spider-Man, and Infinity War, and Endgame, which I'm sure I don't have to remind you was at one point the highest grossing film of all time. Now, I'm not saying that every last scrap of revenue goes straight into Goop Girl's lavender-scented designer beeswax handbag, but I struggle to believe that she hasn't made a fair amount of money from acting. Scamming the general public is never cool, but I think there's this extra layer of super uncool when rich people scam their adoring fans to get even richer. So that raises the question, does Goop Girl know she's a greedy group grifter? Well, let's take a look at her snake oil first. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to take a completely unbiased look at the goods and services that Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop has to offer. Is that better? Goop started in 2008 as a newsletter for Gwyneth to keep her thirsty fans updated on exactly what she was putting inside her body. Really ahead of her time there. It was incorporated in 2011 and it launched its online shop in 2012, earning $1.5 million in its first year. That's pretty good. But what is Goop? What do they make? I mean, looking at their website, what don't they make? Apart from working products. But seriously, there are so many different Goop offshoots. Goop shoots. Goop shots. Okay, no. Goop makeup, Goop fashion, Goop fragrance, Goop vitamins, Goop fitness, Goop furniture, and Goop skincare. Anything you've seen young white hipsters buy, you can get it at Goop. Anything a new mother has tried to sell you from her home business that turned out to just be an MLM, you can get it from Goop. They even have physical stores now, and granted, I've never been to one, but man, these pictures really just look like Gwyneth Paltrow's house. They've continued their newsletter, though it's less about Goop Girl's cooking and more about getting you to give them more money. So rather than wade through the thousands of individual items that I can purchase on goop.com, I'm just going to focus on some particularly lovely products. The cream of the crop, the lobster of lies, the scampi of scams. Let's start with something more innocent. Candles. You've probably heard of these. The marketing campaign clearly worked because everyone talked about them. The candle that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina. The name doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but it gets your attention. Apparently, the scent of this candle is funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected. Funny. I don't know what to say. Is the candle a fucking comedian? I've never come across a smell that's inherently amusing. Anyway, apparently it's made with geranium, bergamot, something called cedar absolutes, damask rose, and ambrette seeds. So it doesn't smell like a vagina. I'm sorry, Gwyneth Paltrow, if you're watching this video, but there is no way in hell that your vagina smells like citrus, flowers, and timber. They came out with another one after that called This Candle Smells Like My Orgasm, made with berries, teas, grapefruit, and other pretty standard candle scents. It also recommends that you buy a vibrator along with this candle, I guess so you can compare. The candles are dumb, but fine. Apparently they smell like most other candles, but they just have the added bonus of costing $75 US, which I'm almost entirely certain that no candle on Earth is worth, but overall they're not doing any harm. Except to this guy, who apparently had one literally explode on his bedside table. Yeah, nice try, Goop Girl. You're gonna have to do better than that if you really want to kill people. What about actual scams? Well, NASA are a pretty big name. Pretty famous, pretty credible. What better way to get people to buy your bullshit product than by slapping NASA's name in there somewhere? Body Vibes made some stickers in 2017 that you could put on your skin, and they reckoned that these stickers would rebalance the energy frequencies inside you. It's mad. It's like Reiki, but without the unwashed hipster breathing heavily on you. They come in packs from between 60 USD to 120 USD, all with different purposes like mental focus or anti-anxiety, and they supposedly use the same conductive carbon material that NASA uses for their spacesuits. Well, that's good. I mean, you want your astronauts to be mentally focused when they're on a launch, but turns out that NASA don't like it when you blatantly lie about them. I'm not really gonna go through the whole stickers can't realign your chakras and fix your mental health issues, but the way they got called out is pretty funny. Apparently, the first thing that Mark Shellhammer, an ex-NASA scientist, said about these stickers was, "Wow, what a load of BS this is." That's pretty awesome, but it gets better because it turns out NASA don't use conductive carbon material in the lining of their spacesuits at all. Obviously, Goop Girl and her Goop Goons took down their endorsement after this public slaughter, saying they were waiting on additional verification on some of the claims made by Body Vibes. I think we're going to be waiting a long time. So there's the first straight up scam of the video, much like other scams targeted at health, which is particularly scummy whilst also being a pretty strong theme for Goop. In 2016, a particular issue of the Goop newsletter urged women to buy some not so basic sex toys. All good and well in theory, but in practice, no one but Goop Girl herself could have possibly afforded to follow this advice. $400 nipple clamps, a $535 whip, and the pièce de résistance, a $15,000 24 karat gold dildo. So the average age of her readers is about 34, and the average income is over $100,000 a year. They know this. They market to this. Scams like this aren't even designed to put money in Goop's pockets. They seem to just be about wasting as many middle-aged women's incomes as they possibly can. I really don't understand it. Does Gwyneth Paltrow just hate her fans possessing money? But this one's pretty harmless. I guess they just think their readers' vaginas deserve the best. Or do they? In 2015, Goop newsletter recommended some wonderful methods for self-care and cleaning. One of these was what they call vaginal steaming. Now, if you're a sane person, just that phrase is probably enough to make you cringe. There are a lot of things I don't want near my genitals, and hot steam is one of them. But apparently Goop Girl disagrees entirely. Apparently, if you want to have the Cadillac of cooches and a squeaky clean uterus to boot, you need V-steam. Sit on your Goop throne and let the infrared and mugwort steam balance your female hormones and give you the energy boost you deserve. So I'm sure this doesn't need to be said, but Jesus Christ, this is such Anne Robinson, an actual doctor, made a great article debunking the various claims about V-steam. Most of them are pretty obvious, but in case they're not, I'll quickly go through it with you. A vagina pretty much cleans itself. You don't need to buff it. You don't need to heat it either. Your body temperature is fine. If it gets much hotter, it can get infected. The water from the steam can actually remove some of your body's natural oils. Hormone production isn't stimulated by steam. And finally, you can give yourself second-degree burns on your genitals. Yeah, one woman actually tried it and gave herself second-degree burns on her genitals. That's horrifying. Well, not to be deterred by the failures of a 24 karat gold dildo and mugwort steam, Goop Girl really wanted her followers to put more things inside them. This time, a jade egg. No, not to imitate jade chickens, this was to lift feminine energy. They're called yoni eggs, and they cost $66 US. Obviously, they're not returnable, because they harness the power of energy work, crystal healing, and kegels. But what does this crystal energy do? Well, it balances your hormones again, which is good because you can't do the V-steam anymore. It also regulates your menstrual cycles, prevents uterine prolapse, and increases your bladder control. Extraordinary. I mean, I feel like that last one is probably all the kegels, but maybe the jade egg does do all the other stuff. come on, we all know what this series is about by now. It doesn't work. In fact, they got slapped with a fine and a lawsuit for false advertising. Sadly, the fine was only $145,000, which I think is insultingly low for a company valued at more than $250 million. In any case, they were told to cut the crap, and now they just claim that their eggs promote good vibes and love, or some other vague bullshit. Why do so many of Goop's scams involve vaginas? It's crazy that that's the theme, but anyway, moving on. You know how I said that Gwyneth Paltrow kills people? Well, obviously that's not exactly true, but we're finally getting to the explanation. So have you guys heard of acupuncture? It's the pseudoscience where you get stabbed by a bunch of needles, and it supposedly treats heaps of different health issues. I mean, just like every other pseudoscience. But you know what's better than needles? If you guessed anything other than bee stings, you lose. Yep. In 2016, Goop Girl endorsed what's called bee venom therapy, or bee sting therapy, and it's exactly as horrifying as it sounds. It's literally just people stabbing the shit out of you with live bee stings. Obviously, this type of procedure is called alternative medicine, because in the wise words of Tim Minchin, if it actually worked, it would just be called medicine. Oh, damn it, I think I spoiled the plot twist there. Yeah. It doesn't actually get rid of inflammation or scarring, despite what Goop Girl says. She's not a doctor. Don't go to her for medical advice. Sadly, some people already have. A 55-year-old woman had been enjoying these Goop-endorsed bee sting acupuncture sessions for over 2 years when she had an extreme reaction in 2018. The private clinic that she'd been attending didn't have any adrenaline on hand, and she died. Someone actually died because of a ludicrous, unverified pseudoscientific practice that Gwyneth Paltrow and her Goop goons thought was trendy. This is the kind of shit that makes me really angry. Obviously, I hate all scams, but there's a gradient. Selling star charts or psychic readings to the gullible is wrong, but shilling dangerous or potentially life-threatening practices is evil. Goop is still allowed to push their blatant lies with nothing but an occasional slap on the wrist. People have been humiliated, injured, and even died from the bullshit that they've pushed, and they've been given one $145,000 fine? Disgusting. I won't go on about it too much, but I really can't stand these types of scam artists. I don't care if Goop Girl actually knows that her recommendations are this dangerous, because she should. It's her duty to know before she does the recommending, not after. Not content with killing, maiming, and otherwise swindling their supporters through their online store and newsletter, Goop also holds wellness summits, which until the pandemic were in-person events. Now, you could get a ticket to the first one from between $500 to $1,500, but the UK summit, the 7th overall, would set you back up to £4,500. These summits got mixed reviews. Some people thought that they'd been touched by God just by being in the mere presence of Gwyneth Paltrow. Other people literally denounced religion after she showed her true goopy colours. Goop themselves kept claiming that this whole weekend was a bargain because it was actually worth over $8,000. But I think that's code for we put some jade vagina eggs and an orgasm candle in the gift bags. Apparently, Goop Girl herself did her absolute best to avoid all the common peasants that helped build her 24-karat gold genital steaming throne. According to some attendees, she walked around with so much security that she was literally unapproachable, and only stuck around long enough to talk to her friends on a stage for a while and then, I assume, urge everyone to spend as much money as possible. Somehow, despite all of these controversies, Netflix partnered with Goop and released The Goop Lab in 2020. It's a documentary series about all of the usual bullshit pseudoscience that you've come to expect from these genuine smooth brains. Some critics blasted it, rightly so in my opinion, for uncritically pushing a bunch of scams. It also just clearly proves that they've learned nothing from the criticism they've received over the years. Anyway, there's a bunch more to be upset at Goop for, but that's enough for one video. I hope we can all agree that Gwyneth Paltrow has got away with just a bit more than her fair share over the years. I also really hope that people stop buying into her scams sometime soon. They probably won't, but a man can dream. So I hope you've enjoyed this long rant of a video. like and subscribe, and have a good one.